OPEC that has been happening even before the war.
Yeah, well, the UAE, a little bit cagey. I think they tried to strong-arm Scott Bessent by saying, hey, we need a dollar swap line because we're running short of U.S. dollars. And if you don't give us one, we're going to start trading oil in Chinese yuan. And it's like you're running.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, you basically have a bottomless pit over there in terms of like the amount of energy you can sell them. So I like Dagan's point, but I think time will tell whether this plays out as a net benefit for the U.S. I think decentralization and more free market versus cartel, it should work out to be a net benefit. But it's it's a haven over there for everybody. So as soon as the Russia-Ukraine war started, all the Russians moved out of everywhere else and set up shop for all their offshore money in Dubai. All these, radical clerics have their offshore accounts in Dubai. It's no longer Switzerland. So we'll see how that plays out. But look, Iran, they can talk as tough as they want. They've suffered over $200 billion worth of damage. Who knows how much revenue and oil revenue they've lost since the start of this war with the closing the strait, the shipping lanes not really being open. And they probably have more than a couple weeks because they can cut production, they can do other. I was reading somebody talking about other forms of storing it, but they don't have forever.
Trains.
If you listen to the guys that fought in Afghanistan, they'll say the Taliban used to say to them you have the watches, we have the time. Meaning if they could just outlast the U.S., then they'll be there. Like the Iranians they don't have as much time as they're talking about. They're saying they can go on for months. And over here, we've absorbed this $100 a barrel of oil pretty well. I mean, we don't want it to continue, but it can. And the political fallout from going in has already been felt. And given kind of how well the military operations have gone, you're kind of already on the rebound. So if this, I think the Iranians are watching too much CNN as to thinking the position that the U.S. is in. I think they're winning. They're watching CNN thinking they're winning the war and not really facing reality.
Can I just add something really, really quickly? I'm talking to the Energy Department now, and
is my question. That's my take.
So what I thought was interesting about Kevin Warsh, who's looks like now he's going to make it through, is that he is all for looking at alternative sources for inflation, saying the government's methods are somewhat outdated and lagging. So again, you look at trueflation. E.J. Antoni talks about it all the time. I talk about it. 1.83% year-over-year CPI. And he made mention that he thinks the actual inflation is lower than what's advertised. So I think rates on the front end are going lower. That doesn't necessarily mean the 10-year or the 30-year are going to move much, but you start moving the front end down. You enter a very sort of Goldilocks situation with a steep yield curve, which promotes lending, fixes a lot of things in the U.S. I'm not so worried about our treasury.
You're saying if you can if you can borrow at under the inflation rate, but still keep your inflation, a little inflation is good because you can inflate away the debt.
I want to know if you agree with me.
Yeah. So. Look, it's tokens. So for those that don't know, a token in the world of AI is 3/4 of a page of a large language model. And if you look at the cost per million tokens, it's gone down over 90% over the last 3 years. But the use of these tokens has gone up 1,000%. And so Jensen Huang famously said, if I'm paying a software engineer $500,000 a year, I expect him to use at least $250,000 worth of tokens. And when software engineers, when they're looking to switch companies, they ask up front, and it's not just what's my compensation, what's my token budget? And so it's expensive to run these. That cost is going to go down. There are lots of log jams in terms of building out the infrastructure for AI and trying to get these things to work for you, which is why I'm very bullish on all these infrastructure names because you're very capacity constrained even with these names. So this is, it's so when this SaaS apocalypse happened, which I would say, definitely holds some weight, it's just not that easy, right? And so these companies trying to completely transform their business, yes, there's a lot of costs. And if you don't have a cohesive strategy and you're not using someone like a Palantir, say, to organize all of your software to feed in the AI and come out the other side, it can be a ginormous waste of money with very low ROI unless you, again, have a cohesive strategy, and the consulting firms will charge you $1 million to give you a 30-page deck. Basically says, I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah, I hear that. I guess I come down, Dagan, on the side of...
When a lot of other guys are laying off staffs. Michael Lee, you agree with me. Surely you agree with me.
I have a wildly different take. Since his stock fell apart in October, Mark Benioff is giving off serious Russ Henneman vibes. And so anybody that's watched Silicon Valley knows exactly who Russ Henneman is. He said in an interview on the TBPN podcast network that he didn't hire any engineers last year, and he's hiring all salespeople. Which, again, like you're grasping for straws, like right now, and I think he is between a rock and a hard place because no one knows how it's going to work out for most SaaS companies when you're going from a per-seat model to a per-use model, and they are target number one. So, you know, he can hire 1,000 grads, like it's probably salespeople to go out and tell you how great Salesforce is, which, again, if you're a sales-driven organization trying to sell software to help sell sales, right, like that's, I guess that makes sense, but like I don't, you know, I call you know what on.
But no, I think you're not radically different from me. I think he's marketing. He's trying to say, I've got this. Don't worry. I'm a leader. I'm not a laggard. I'm not worried that.
100% agreement with that last.
What I will say, when you were talking about usage and the cost per token, there was a great chart, I don't know where I saw it, that when the cost goes down, you use more of it, not less.
Javon's paradox.
Yes. Where did I read that this morning? My mind is blank. I had read a full thing on that this morning. And
it's almost as good as Bommel's cost disease, but we'll talk about that another time, okay?
You're reading
We've got
my mind.
paradoxes and
Thank you.
diseases all over the place.
But that's the case with AI. When it gets cheaper, we're going to be using more of it, not less.
Like if you could generate an image on ChatGPT in a quarter of a second versus 2 or 3 seconds, how many more images would you generate? And
None. They shut down Sora.
Who's talking about the other, sir?
No, I don't use ChatGPT. I use Grok. So
Yeah. You don't.
I use Grok. It's awesome.
You're supposed to say I use Claude so that we can move on. You've just opened a can of worms, right?
No, I will shut up.
What about
but
Gemini?
We will debate it in break.
What?
Is Gemini okay?
No, don't say
No,
that.
Gemini's not okay.
Sorry.
That's
No,
what's
no,
not
Gemini
you
is-
and me, okay? That's
No, we deleted all of our Gmail accounts and shut them down, Lauren. Don't talk
OpenAI's
about
got
it.
some problems. You know who has the biggest problems in terms of their spend being just setting money on fire? Facebook, Meta, Zuckerberg.
They've never done that before.
That is their business model, right? Like the more personal information that.
a one-time, right, 5% tax on the net worth of roughly 200 residents. And a brand new study predicts the tax would devastate the Golden State economy, wiping out 100,000 jobs and $28 billion worth of wages. Mike Lee, if it's a one-time tax, I will eat your shoe. But we can't find that out until they get it passed.
Oh, it's not a one-time tax. It's in the bill. They can amend it at any time with the roll call vote.
So this is not that's not the headline way it's being sold. It's being sold as a one-time, but people who read the dang thing will tell you they put a big old loophole in about okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, so they can lower it at any time with a roll call vote, and they can make it annual if they want to.
Lower the threshold of who.
Oh, yeah, you know, look, it's eventually like this is just theft, right? And like what you were seeing in California, and when like you have, this is not new. You have these things all throughout Latin America, right? This is the beginning of a failed state, right? They're just trying to steal from people, and it's like, oh, well, let me go get some money from that rich guy. And like, yeah, in theory, like nobody's really against. Okay, if a billionaire pays an extra couple $1 million in taxes, is that really a crisis? No, but that's not what this is. It is, and then also in this bill is a mileage tax. Right? So anything that Gavin Newsom can do to destroy this state.
Yeah, but he's against the wealth tax. He's against the wealth tax.
Oh, yeah,
I
like
have a
he won't
question.
sign this into law?
I don't know.
Well, not when he's governor, but when he's president, because then you can't.
All these
Over
rich
and over and over
Democrats
again.
can't live with the governments they elect. Like it's
I know.
the people that are leaving, it's their fault. It's like
know.
I'm gonna blow the state up and then I'm gonna move to Florida.
But see, that's the thing. But then like you're Florida or you're Utah or Nevada, and you're like, they're all coming my way, and aren't they going to do the same thing? Why wouldn't they do the same thing?
I think Florida has too much of a population, but Utah, that place that's going blue.
California has 30.
Take the air train to JFK.
If you time that well, I do that when I fly to JFK a lot. If you time that well, you can do that in 30, 35 minutes. And like the air train is very nice and very clean. And usually the LIRR, those trains are nice and they're clean and they're not that crowded.
Right.
Penn Station is a different story. And so is the Jamaica Station.
I agree. But I'm just saying that we're talking about how expensive it is just to get out to JFK in a car.
Let's just say it could save me an hour and a half. Like, I'm not afraid to say it that, like, I'm terrified of getting one of those things, and I don't, like you're gonna get an adult-sized drone? Maybe not.
That would be helpful.
We have 5 in our